Hey Peyton, nice to see you again on this beautiful Sunday. This time
Good to be
with a
back.
quote. I'm not sure what the source is, but the quote goes like this: The more you know yourself, the more clarity there is. Self-knowledge has no end. You don't come to a conclusion. You don't come to an achievement. It is an endless river. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
Yeah, I love this quote. This is from Krishnamurti, and it's interesting what he points to here. This self-knowledge as something that you can't crystallize and capture and put in a box. And when he's talking about self-knowledge, for a little bit of context, he differentiates two types of self, and one is sort of the individual ego self, the thinker self, the talker. That's not what he's necessarily referring to with this quote. This is much more the true essence of ourself, our awareness, our consciousness, our soul, or this fact of being that we have that's beyond words and beyond what can be captured. And that's a part of what he's talking about here, is that to know our higher self, to know our ultimate self, or this awareness within us, we can't just have a label of it or a way of talking about it or words. And in fact, like those things just can point to it, but they can't actually describe it. We're not really knowing that part of ourself by having a description of it or by saying sentences about something that's beyond what can be captured with language. Rather, I think of it almost in terms of, like, in Spanish we have saber and conocer, and saber is this kind of to know a fact, where conocer is to know a person. We use the same word in English, but they can mean two different things. To know by direct experience or direct acquaintance, to share and interact directly prior to knowledge, versus to have some fact or thought or sentence or phrase about this thing in mind. They're two completely different ways to actually know something. And what I think he's talking about here is that this river, this flow of who we really are, true nature, is not something that we can actually capture and tie up and put a bow on and say, there it is, look at this thing that I've fully captured and described it. This is exactly what it is. The end of story, there's no more. Rather, the only way to actually know this is to not try to box it in and put it in one little place and to put a label on it, but rather to directly commune with it, to look straight at it, to feel it, to be in presence with it, and to know it on a more direct level than just describing it or trying to put things around it. And that's very counterintuitive for me, and very counter, like, unless I'd read about this and been taught this by other people, I never would have come to these conclusions or really understood this on my own, I don't think, because it is a different way of relating to what this is, to who we truly are, to be directly with it and to know it by almost by like receiving it by giving ourselves to it, is this other way of thinking about it, kind of like a sunset. You only receive the sunset to the extent that you give your presence to the sunset. And knowing ourself, knowing this, our ultimate nature, our awareness, and the sort of higher self is, in my opinion, a lot the same way. And that's a lot of why it's really tricky to keep our eye on this ball, because we can't really export it and take it with us. We can only go to it and bring ourselves to it and open ourselves to it and give ourselves to it. And at least that's what this quote brings to mind for me and some of my associations. What about you?
My ideas are similar on this line. It's an endless river of continuous self-discovery. You have to be in this parliament which disputes within yourself and try to voice the silent voices, try to listen to the loud voices. The quote of, I guess it was Churchill comes to mind. You know, Goethe, he said, two souls are in my chest. No, it's not two souls, it's a whole fucking parliament which disputes inside of me. So it's this discovery of the things that are even silent within you, the silent whispers, which try to direct you in a direction which is meant for you. Because I believe we are born with so many potential talents which we can uncover by doing and by discovering through practicing, through doing, we have the possibility to express our uniqueness in this way. And therefore, I also believe the happiest people have a deep self-knowledge about who they are, about what they are in certain situations, and actively trying to match their life to it, to this self-knowledge, which maybe like in a video game, you jump from level to level to level, and in this sense, you unlock a new level when you discovered yourself, something about yourself which you gain through reflection. For me, at least, sometimes I make decisions out of certain ideas, maybe illusions, and sometimes these decisions lead to outcomes which are really painful. And this pain sometimes wakes me up in a way that the illusion falls apart, and I see clearly the mechanisms that which are underlying previously to the decision I made. And when I uncover these mechanisms, I can refocus and reflect what to do next time differently, to better fit the next decision to my knowledge about who I am, who I really am at the core, to be authentic to the things I feel, and therefore deciding that deciding in a way that uncovers the potentials which lie within me. So the underlying mechanisms you uncover sometimes through this reflection, which is following a deep pain because I followed a decision because of an illusion I had about certain mechanisms. And I tried to fit myself into, build the structure to fit to my inner being and to my way of being, which I discover through ongoing self-discovery, through practicing whatever I am inclined to practice. And therefore, learning by doing is the way to uncover yourself.
It's wonderful points. I really agree with how important it is to resist the urge to try to grasp and manipulate and control and really um, own or box in these things because that's the toolkit I bring to many other arenas in my life if I'm looking at managing my energy or trying to accomplish certain things or manifest certain things in my life or make specific changes to my lifestyle. A lot of times a certain toolkit works where you figure it out, you cut it up, you break it into pieces, you move the pieces around, you manifest a specific cause and effect with intention or some degree of precision or uh, with clarity on how to get to your desired goal. You control things, blah, blah, blah. And if we try to bring that mindset and that practice to this other dimension of life, to knowing our real self, to knowing this true inner nature, this source that we have within us, we miss the mark and we can't grasp it, and it doesn't bend to our wishes like everything else does, and it can provide us such wonderful nourishing. And I love the picture of the river, and it reminds me of a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson in The Oversoul, where he says, "Man's being is a stream whose source he cannot see." And the river is interesting because the river is not merely the water. The flow of the river is a part of the very nature of the river. If you take a bucket and you fill it with the water of the river and you carry this bucket around saying, check out this river, it's no longer a river. And that's sort of what happens when we try to take a snapshot of some specific aspect of our experience or something that arises within the larger context of consciousness, try to put it out there and play around and manipulate this thing, as opposed to seeing and connecting directly with the true ultimate flow of our being, of our reality. We chop it up and we cheapen it and take it into something that no longer or is a representation of the true nature of the ultimate source of the river, of our real self. And so, yeah, these are things that, like many things, this is an ultimate game that's very invisible to us, easy to lose sight of because it operates through a different logic than many of the other things in our life, including our own psychology that aren't quite as immune to our desires to grasp and label and move around and manipulate. It's kind of a game that's played on a different field and with a different logic and with a different sort of goal or lack thereof, or the nature of winning and losing is also different. And it's yet an ultimate game and one that is essential, I believe, to connecting with a deeper flourishing, a deeper source that we have within us. So something I hope and aspire to orient myself much more toward this week. Something that I find that I come back to, I connect with, and then I fall away from, and become blind to again. And I think that's a part of the flow of the river as well. So that's my thoughts about it. Any other concluding thoughts from your end?
Only that I wish ourselves and to all of us that we may be well and happy and may discover who we truly are on a continual basis and match our life to our self-knowledge about ourselves.
Yeah, 100%, man. Great. We'll carry that intention through the week. I appreciate your thoughts as always. Good talking to you, and I'll see you next time.
See you next time, my friend. Bye, Peyton.
Peace out. Bye bye.